Thursday, former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's triumphant return to power.
Rapture, terrifying and highly anticipated, has promised to be an earth-shaking event that would affect all of humanity in the aftermath of the Messiah's return. But what if we tell you that rapture may happen soon? Interestingly, Netanyahu, Israel's returning prime minister, claims to have been in contact with the Messiah for a while now. What does this mean? Is the Messiah coming soon? Keep watching for the answers. It's no news that Israel has an affiliation, or, we could say, is consequently implicated in the story of the coming of Christ. In Christian theology, some believe in the significance of Israel as the land where Jesus was born, and certain biblical prophecies are seen as being connected to the nation of Israel and the second coming of Christ. Typical examples are some interpretations of biblical prophecy, particularly in the Old Testament, suggesting that specific events involving Israel preceded the return of Christ. However, this argument varies among denominations in Christendom, as some argue for it while others argue against it. But Christianity is not the only religion that has made predictions about the Messiah's return, as the Jews also anticipate this. Surprisingly, some rabbis have even tied the Messiah's return to some political events in Israel, and this involves Netanyahu, a returning prime minister of the nation. But who is Netanyahu, and what makes him worthy of our attention? According to Israel's political reports, Benjamin Netanyahu was first elected prime minister in 1996. He implemented economic reforms during his tenure, but his government faced serious challenges and criticism. The opposition believes that Netanyahu, who has been prime minister for 15 years, intends to weaken the judiciary and transform himself into a dictator. Though he lost the 1999 elections, Netanyahu returned to the position of prime minister after being sworn in on March 31, 2009, where he focused on security issues and diplomatic challenges. Before he was allowed to resume office for the third time, Netanyahu signed a Supreme Court-approved conflict of interest agreement, which some believe he is now violating. According to reports, he had pulled the strings during his tenure to see if he could resolve the long-standing conflict between Israel and Palestine. And like that isn't eventful enough, Netanyahu is now returning to being the Prime Minister of Israel for a second time after many failures. You can call him a record breaker because after the Knesset election in 2022, it looks like Benjamin Netanyahu will become Prime Minister of Israel again. This brings to mind his favorite quote, which he made in 2018, that says, "There is no place for the weak. The weak crumble, are slaughtered and erased from history, while the strong survive for good or ill." This statement may depict the character formation of Netanyahu and his pursuit of groundbreaking achievements. But there is something quite strange about this comeback, as there have been speculations and insinuations regarding the second coming of Christ as relating to this comeback. This historic comeback has caused a lot of uproar recently, and we bet you can't wait to find out what it's all about. Could this be the usual frenzy, or is the world about to be shaken? Let's find out. But first, why is Netanyahu's return so striking? After 16 months, the former Prime Minister of Israel returned to office, and you wouldn't doubt how striking and ominous that is. But that is not all. Following the breaking news in the Middle East, Netanyahu's chances of becoming the prime minister again is 90% on a scale of 100. However, this event has stirred concerns in the hearts of many as they ponder and long to know the significance of this comeback, what it means, and what effect it would have on us all. These may be good questions, although there is yet to be a definite answer. However, the old rabbis of Israel seem to have the keys to unlock these answers. Though equivocal, some have claimed his comeback is a precursor to the coming of the Messiah. In contrast, others have argued that he is the fulfillment of the two-stage coming Messiah, the Mashiach ben Yosef and the Mashiach ben David. The next revelation may have you tilt from your chair if you're not seated tightly due to its weight. It might interest you to know that some Jewish rabbis claim he is already holding meetings with the Messiah. Interestingly, this shocking revelation was made as far back as September 29, 2002, and it has registered in the hearts of many since then. leaving them with endless questions and no possible definite answers. Consequently, this has caused a lot of agitation, especially among believers, as they believe that if this happens, it will fulfill the prophecy of the Antichrist, since the truth is not far-fetched. We can depict from the interaction that this Messiah is not Jesus, the Son of God whom the Bible said to expect his coming. So what do you think this means for the world? An article written even before Netanyahu's re-election consisted of the words of two prominent and astute Jewish rabbis of our time. These two rabbis, Rabbi Yitzkif and Rabbi Menachem Chanderson, prophesied decades ago that Benjamin Netanyahu would be re-elected and that he would be the last prime minister of Israel until the Messiah comes. However, this has made it the new ultra-Orthodox Jewish hope since its proclamation, as many still held its belief tight in their hearts, not forgetting, not letting it go. Following the last round of elections on November 1, 2022, it showed that luck was on the side of Netanyahu, as his winning became even more glaring for all to see. A video clip also showed a renowned Jewish rabbi admonishing Netanyahu to take more actions to make for the quick ascendancy of the coming Messiah. This has, in turn, increased the curiosity in the hearts of many, as some people in the nation wanted it to happen on Thursday. Do you think they are damning the consequence as to where such curiosity will lead them? Luckily for them, the incoming prime minister made a move to gratify their eagerness. So, on Thursday, Netanyahu signed a coalition deal with the extreme right faction of religious Zionism after his party won the most votes in the elections. Moreover, two more things linked Netanyahu to the coming of the Messiah, which certainly is not Jesus Christ. We will clear the air about it towards the end of this video as we show you how Jesus Christ fulfilled all the requirements of the laws and the prophets of the Old Testament, so that one should not disbelieve him or look elsewhere for a new Messiah. Let's continue the unraveling mystery. An article dating back to November 19, 2018, gives insight into Netanyahu holding the keys to the Messiah. To satisfy your curiosity, it might interest you to know that a paragraph in the article speaks expressly on that, where it says, "It pains me as a friend, as a brother, and as a close friend to see how many people constantly spill Netanyahu's blood. He is going to stand tall on God's side. He has a promise from the Rabbi, and he is going to make it through this. We have seen it happen up until now, and that is how it's going to be as well. And I hope we will be able to hand his keys over to Mashiach the Messiah, and will have the complete and true redemption." Are you still in doubt? Another article dated 2018 for your corroboration says that Netanyahu will hand the wand to the Messiah, the son of David. This would imply, as it is repeated too often, that the Jewish Messiah is aimed at giving the person in question a positive view. But we will believe that this is not the case, as it rather speaks of the Antichrist. The Bible already stated that the Antichrist will not likely be the direct opposite of the true Christ, but he will be a perfect imitator who will later lead the world astray. Moreover, the prophecy that he will be ushered into the seat of power by someone who holds the keys seems to come to the fore here in Netanyahu. Are you interested to know about the two stages of the Jewish messiahship? We'll tell you. The first stage is known as Mashiach ben Yosef, which implies an ordinary practical process that involves the gathering of exiles and the building up of the land of Israel. At the same time, the second stage is more of a supernatural thing that provides for that frequently mentioned part of the Bible that talks about the re-establishment of the Davidic dynasty and the completion of the Third Temple. It was also mentioned that the source is the camel, that in the days to come, Jonathan will come into the reincarnation of Moshiach ben Yosef, Messiah from the house of Joseph, but at the end of the days, he will serve as second to Mashiach ben David from the house of David. This will be a reincarnation of David. Then he will fulfill his promise to serve as David's second in command. Consequently, within Messiah ben Yosef, there will be two divisions. Rabbi Shurdy affirmed this by saying, "This is a leader in the material world. We've seen this being fulfilled by Netanyahu. That's not all. There is also a spiritual Ben Yosef, whose primary function is to prepare the world to receive the light of Beniach ben David." By now, you should be connecting the dots already, as you can see that in their tradition, they have created many messiahs outside either the biblical truth or even the Torah. But what's more striking is that everything has been foretold by the Bible even before Netanyahu came to be. This is in sync with the coming of Jesus to the world and his testimony in Matthew chapter 10 verses 5 and 6, where he said that he had been sent to the lost sheep of Israel. We now know how the house rejected and even crucified him, but not before God extended the grace to the Gentiles. Most certainly, this is what the New Testament is all about. It reveals that in the same manner that the Antichrist will come, and it is to the lost sheep of Israel since Jesus has come to the lost sheep of Israel. However, in this case, they are those who have remained adamant, who still reject Jesus and do not accept him. This Antichrist will, without a doubt, appeal to them, as the Bible has stated. They will be his followers, as Jesus said himself in John chapter 5 verse 43, that he came in his Father's name, but the world did not receive him, and that if another comes in his name, he will receive the world. Something spectacular happened on July 25, 2020. An article in the Rabbi says that the Antichrist is the Messiah the Jews are waiting for. This article served as an eye-opener once again, as it highlighted some of the characteristics of the Antichrist that the Bible mentioned. It recounted that he would be the direct descendant of the house of King David of Judah, and that he would not only be a leader, but the greatest political leader that the world has ever seen. Also, he will supervise the building of the third temple, restore the Sanhedrin, and rally the house of Israel together. Laying more emphasis, the Antichrist must be a Jew and a kinsman of David. The Bible in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4, where Apostle Paul said the same thing, that the son of perdition, which is the Antichrist, will sit in the temple claiming to be God, and by this will turn the hearts of many, shows you yet again the activity of this man and what he is bent on accomplishing. In recent times, Pope Francis said that the Antichrist has arrived but is not visible to many, and this would only mean that a rapture is happening soon. Most importantly, the Bible, especially the fact that it centers on the Jews the most, and their immense expectations of the Messiah to be one to save them from political and economic thuggery from neighboring countries, particularly the Romans, was a thorn in their flesh, makes it hard to believe that the Antichrist will not come from this particular part of the world. The nation of Israel has clamored for a Messiah who will lead them to trample their enemies, which can be their political counterparts underfoot. A leader, a prominent political figure in Israel, who would deliver them and usher in an era of peace. Since they've tasted freedom, it was hard for them to believe that a Messiah would be unable to do this for them. And these traits they've seen in Netanyahu. So, can we say this has left them searching for answers where they shouldn't? Let's see, in striking contrast, the messiahship of Jesus compared to the one they seek. Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, the Holy Anointed One prophesied to come in the Old Testament, and that is a fulfillment of the New Testament. His mission, according to the Christian doctrine, was to fulfill the divine plan of salvation by offering himself as a sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin. His pursuit was for a more spiritual purpose than physical. As he came to defeat and destroy him, that has the power of death. Even though God showed the people of Israel many symbolic signs of this coming Messiah, it was still difficult for the traditional Jews to be convinced, which made them question his messiahship. Supposedly, they were expecting him to be born already a king to befitting the title. They also probably expected that he would build a new temple. While their argument of the latter may be considered as this could mean the physical Jerusalem, it is not God's intention regarding the matter. God only used that as a metaphor to refer to the believer's body resurrected on the morning of the resurrection. Did you find this video informative? We would like to know what you think in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with friends. It was a nice time with you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.